Now at 9, a Joplin police officer who was seriously injured in the line of duty returns to work.
President Biden sharing his reaction to recession fears and rising gas prices. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington. I've got all the details for you, and that's coming right up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Many lives changed after the March 8th shootings that killed 2 Joplin police officers, injured another. Today, though, that officer back on duty. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to Officer Rick Hershey about his experience.
Officer Rick Hershey returns to light duty at Joplin Police after recovering from the March 8 shooting. He dedicates his successful recovery to his family, Joplin Police Department, and the support of the community.
I had tons of support. My family, my son and daughter-in-law, they come down, and so they were here until I went home from the hospital. Of course, my wife, the police department family. I had officers coming out on a regular basis to just visit with me and see how I was doing, bring me stuff.
Doctors said that the path of the bullet was a 1 in a million chance of not being fatal.
If you've seen my x-rays, the path this bullet took was unbelievable, because it enters my face here. It's currently in the soft tissue of my spine back here. If I didn't have the x-ray, I wouldn't even know it's there.
Hershey knows how blessed he is to report back to duty after the shooting. He will always have his falling officers in mind.
Cooper was actually a trainee of mine going on 20 years ago. So I've known Coop for a long, long time. Jake, I got to interact with him quite a bit. Both great guys, great cops.
Officer Hershey values that he can rely on his fellow officers during these critical times. He thanks Captain Davis for showing up when he needed him the most.
God helped him be at the right place at the right time.
Yes.
Because again, he was way across town, but he showed up at the exact point of, I'm going, okay, well, I've been shot. Everything still works. Plan B is, move my car. Okay, let me move my car.
Despite doctors saying he will not fully heal until next year, Officer Hershey knows this is his calling.
Because when I retired, I was ready to be done, but I felt I was being called back, that I wasn't done here. And so I listened, and I came back.
Joplin, Missouri. Amber Jenkins, KOAM.
Good to have you back, sir. Hershey was hospitalized for 8 days, spent 96 days recovering at home. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now. Hot and more hot, Nick.
Yeah, but at least we're getting a little bit of a break from the heat again tonight, Jordan. And on another positive note, nice looking sunset from our vantage point at 7th and Range Line. But after we got off to a mild start in the lower to middle 60s this morning, we just catapulted back into the lower 90s this afternoon, most of us topping out around 92. I have a staying quiet for the course of the night, but I am watching our next storm system off to the north and west. I don't think that does anything for our forecast until we get deeper into the middle of the week. So I think we'll be dry for tonight. I know we'll be dry for tonight, and I do expect us to be dry for tomorrow. But we'll go from the lower 70s in the morning, Jordan, back into the mid 90s for tomorrow. We'll see when that next system could bring some rain chances our way and when a shot for real relief from the heat will come our way here in a bit.
All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. A program aimed at helping non-custodial fathers establish a relationship with their child is celebrating a batch of graduates, both new and old. The program is called Good Dads, and that's just what these guys learn to be through 15 weeks of classes focused on being active fathers. Tonight, graduates, both past and present, got together to have some fun with their kids, something many of them weren't able to do before.
Progress goes with some of these dads. It's exciting because every week they come in and you hear things like, hey, I got in a visit with my kids, or, hey, I made my first child support payment, or, hey, I'm getting my kids back, custody of my kids back.
The next Good Dads class will begin on July 11th. If you or someone you know would like to sign up, you can learn more by checking out this article on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A ribbon cutting ceremony was held today over at Irving Elementary for shade canopies. Irving PTO worked nearly 2 years on the fundraising for this project, with sponsors including Arvis Foundation, Mercy Hospital, and other local businesses. The playground now has 4 canopies to keep the kiddos and staff safe on these hot days.
About 2 years ago, our amazing PTO surveyed our staff and teachers, and that was a large ask from them of, my goodness, it would be nice to have some shade for the kids as well as them.
In addition to the sponsors, an anonymous partner offered to donate full installation services, saving an estimated $12,000 in additional project costs. Some swimmers who had plans to go to Parsons Lake are probably going to find a new spot. In an effort to keep swimmers and lake users safe, officials have closed Lake Parsons in Parsons, Kansas until further notice. They say excessive erosion in recent months revealed some sort of hazard that was placed on the beach. The city is currently in the process of removing the hazard. President Biden speaking with reporters today while walking on the beach in Delaware, reflecting on the state of the U.S. economy. Historic inflation eating at Americans' wallets, whether it's at the gas pump, at the grocery store. The president revealed a gas tax holiday, also rebate cards, are both under consideration. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has details from Washington.
President Biden hit the beach in Delaware, taking photos with vacationers and talking about tough times, threatening to turn this summer into a real bummer. He said things, however, could turn around.
There's nothing inevitable about a recession.
For months now, Americans across the country have seen record high prices at the pump, forcing drivers to fine-tune their summer travel plans.
It was $150 to fill this thing, and that was like, oh wow, that's a lot more than it used to be.
On Monday, the national average for a gallon of gas was $4.98. In California, believe it or not, prices are even higher, with drivers there paying more than $6 a gallon. The Biden administration is weighing the idea of waiving the 18-cent federal gas tax, as well as offering gas rebate cards to every American.
Well, I hope I have a decision based on data I'm looking for by the end of the week.
The Federal Reserve is trying to get a hold on inflation by raising interest rates, making borrowing a lot more expensive. Republicans, meanwhile, want to see the Biden administration make drastic changes.
Hopefully we can hold off a recession, but it's going to take policy changes in Washington, like unleashing American energy, to prevent a true recession from coming.
Lawmakers will get a chance to hear from Fed Chair Jerome Powell himself when he testifies on Wednesday, which will make for a very interesting day here in the nation's capital. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Inflation is taking a toll on infrastructure projects here in the U.S. Rising prices for materials like asphalt, steel, iron pipes, driving up the cost to build roads, bridges, rail lines, and water mains. The prices for some infrastructure materials have risen even faster than general consumer prices. State and local officials say inflation is diminishing the value of a $1 trillion federal infrastructure law signed by President Joe Biden just 7 months ago. Some officials say inflation has forced them to delay or scale back the scope of these projects. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot holding its latest hearing tomorrow. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera reports now from D.C. with details on what to expect.
After focusing last week on what they labeled as Trump's pressure campaign on former Vice President Mike Pence, the January 6th committee is shifting gears Tuesday to lay out what they call a similar campaign on state officials.
We have a president who, for whatever reason, refused to accept the results of a presidential election and then organized in a hit against American democracy.
Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and his deputy Gabriel Sterling are expected to testify. Raffensperger gained recognition after the 2020 election when he rejected Trump's pressure to find more than 11,000 votes.
We'll show courageous state officials who stood up and said they wouldn't go along with this plan to either call legislatures back into session or decertify the results.
As the hearings continue, the committee is also keeping parts of its investigation vague, not ruling out, for example, the possibility of subpoenaing Pence. And as for whether Trump should be criminally charged, the panel is deferring to the Department of Justice, saying that's a decision for them to make.
It's not the role of Congress to decide who gets prosecuted.
Trump, for his part, slammed the hearings once again on Friday, calling them a theatrical production of partisan fiction.
This is not a congressional investigation, this horrible situation that's wasting everyone's time.
The committee is set to hold another hearing on Thursday where they're expected to focus on Trump's alleged push on the Department of Justice to influence the 2020 election. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Leroy Gribble served in the U.S. Army from 1962 to 68. Native of Liberal, Missouri, Gribble earned several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Leroy Gribble. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, thousands float down Elk River every summer. We're going to show you the beauty from above.
We kept hot, staying at it once again for today, but on the plus side, we kept quiet as we got this new work week underway. Temperatures fared pretty much the same compared to yesterday. We went into the lower 90s yesterday afternoon to wrap up the weekend, lower to middle 60s this morning, and right back to what looked like 91 at Joplin Regional, but we officially hit 92 this afternoon. So we continue our streak of temperatures running above normal since June 11th, but it hasn't been a hot month entirely. We're actually splitting the difference between the below and above average temperatures. In fact, the start of the month proved to be quite actually more bearable to start the month out compared to where we've been recently. At least we're looking good for 7th and Range Line. Clear skies outside, 82. Feels like 85 though with the dew point sitting at 69. Everyone's in the lower 80s for the most part. A couple mid 80s still around Chanute and Fredonia, but we all feel like the mid 80s when you factor in those dew points. Still kind of up there. And that will also limit how much we'll drop off for tonight. But at least we'll drop back into the lower 70s to start the morning ahead out. Nothing to show in our immediate area in the Skywatch Storm Tracker, but at the surface, our next cold front launching a slew of severe weather across the northern plains and upper Midwest. That's the next system that will try to come on in over the next few days. That's going to finally start happening as this upper level ridge temporarily weakens and shifts back to our south and west a little bit. Let's see how it plays out on your future track forecast here. We'll keep it dry. That's the easy part of the forecast going into the overnight hours. Lows back in the lower 70s. We're looking quiet for tomorrow, but you can see how quickly we'll go back to near 90 already by the noon hour tomorrow, and then easily back into the mid 90s with, again, a good southwest breeze during the afternoon and plenty of sunshine up top. 72 in the morning, 90 by noon, highs are 95. But with the humidity and temperatures that much hotter, it's going to feel like we're in the lower triple digits for tomorrow. At this time, I'm not expecting any thunderstorm chances to try and pop up, at least during the day. But as that next cold front tries to edge closer, can't rule out some isolated thunderstorm chances, especially in our northern counties to start the overnight hours out going into Wednesday. Then as that front continues to edge closer to the region, we'll hold on to scattered thunderstorm chances as we go throughout your Wednesday afternoon. And that same system even sticks around by Thursday, but it's not going to sweep on through. In fact, this upper level ridge shifts that front back to the north. We stay dry for Friday and Saturday for the most part, but that will easily push highs back into the upper 90s, maybe a couple spots close to 100, before we see a big change in this pattern comes Saturday night into Sunday morning. A stronger system, maybe a better shot for thunderstorms late Saturday night going into Sunday morning. But look at this jet setup. It's back to the southwest, and thankfully, it's going to allow highs to drop back into the 80s. I'm thinking lower 80s Sunday and Monday with morning lows back in the 60s. That's going to feel like an Arctic blast by the time we get there, Jordan. But the heat is on for the next few days, and even as we kick off officially summer tomorrow with highs near 95.
Yeah, it's officially summer tomorrow, but I'll tell you what, it's felt like summer for the past, half a month?
Yep, Mother Nature doesn't follow the calendar.
He doesn't care. Big Kelly, thank you so much. Hey, if your signal of KOAM or Fox 14 becomes glitchy, it's a sign of progress. We've started broadcasting now from a lower temporary antenna while a crew installs a new, more technically advanced antenna at the top of our tower. It's the final step in our More Power project. This is going to allow some viewers who previously lost our signal to get us once again. If all goes to plan, we'll be back up and stronger than ever soon. Coming up, NATO suggesting the Russia-Ukraine war could last several years.
Continues pounding Ukraine's east as the country awaits a vote from the European Council on its possible candidate status to join the European Union. I'm Nate Foy in Lviv. I have the details coming up.
American Legion raised.
Facebook removing a campaign video by U.S. Senate candidate Eric Greitens for, quote, violating policies prohibiting violence and incitement. Ads showed the Republican brandishing a shotgun, declaring he was hunting rhinos, are Republicans in name only. Greitens A former governor who resigned in 2018 says, quote, get a rhino hunting permit. There's no bagging limit, no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country. The video comes at a time of renewed focus on gun violence and violence in politics. Parts of Ukraine under more pounding from Russia's military. Nate Foy reports.
Hundreds of residents are fleeing eastern Ukraine as shelling intensifies in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. Ukrainian troops are struggling to defend several cities as both sides exchange heavy artillery.
We've got to make it clear that we're supporting the Ukrainians in their ambition, which their country is right behind, every single one, to expel the Russians.
In Mariupol, local officials say more than 100,000 people remain without access to drinking water and medication. And residential areas and a food warehouse in the port city of Odessa were blasted Monday with more than a dozen Russian missiles. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say President Biden should prioritize sending more weapons to the region sooner rather than later.
This president needs to make certain that he stands behind our capabilities. He does not see in this president a deterrence, or he certainly doesn't see at this time a deterrent threat from the United States.
This comes as Russian state media confirms U.S. Marine veteran Andy Wynn and U.S. Army veteran Alexander Druky were taken into custody by Russian-backed separatists in Donetsk. NATO now suggesting the conflict could last several years as the war in Ukraine enters its fourth month.
The longer this goes on, the more likely Ukraine just gets ground into the dust, and Putin has every intention of doing it.
President Joe Biden says it's unlikely that he will visit Ukraine in the near future, as Thursday and Friday are the days that the EU plans to meet to discuss Ukraine's attempt to join the European Union. Reporting in Lviv, Ukraine, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
Still ahead, going to learn how the federal government wants to cautiously ask Americans their sexual orientation during the upcoming census. There's a new move by the Biden administration to spend $10 million taxpayer dollars to study the best ways to ask people about their sexual orientation. This effort coming amid controversies over the role of the government, schools, even parents when it comes to this issue. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has more from Miami.
The festivities are well underway for Pride Month. That means parties and gay pride parades, which today include LGBTQ Americans. Count President Biden among those celebrating the month.
The message is simple. Pride is back at the White House.
Counting is what the U.S. Census Bureau has been doing since 1902. It aims for the most exact population data it can get, like numbers, race, gender, and now sexual orientation and gender identity. To get that, the Bureau wants to ask the question as best as possible. So it wants to spend $10 million to find out how to ask the question and get the most honest and accurate numbers. Previous census head counts did not ask whether someone was gay, straight, lesbian, transgender, or binary. The president of Miami Beach's Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, the second largest in the country, approves of what the Census Bureau is doing with some cautious hesitation.
If it is really to make our lives better, to create policies within government to help us distribute goods and services more appropriately amongst all of the population bases in the country, great. If it's just going to go sit in a shelf, what's the point?
This also comes at a time of political culture wars, with red state legislatures restricting or banning discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity in schools. Like in Florida, the recent Governor DeSantis versus Disney battle over the so-called Don't Say Gay bill that prohibits such discussion from kindergarten through third grade. In a statement, the Census Bureau said it is committed to collecting accurate data on our nation's people and families. This research can help us measure the growing and diverse LGBTQ population in the United States. The information gained will end up in the Census Bureau's American Community Survey, which comes out annually. In Miami, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Next, a visit to Cambodia to see the world's largest freshwater fish that was caught.
Many have served.
Big fish, the world's largest freshwater fish, caught in Cambodia. Look at that. The giant stingray measured nearly 13 feet, tipped the scales at just under 661 pounds. It's a big boy. Local fishermen reeled in the massive fish in Cambodia's Mekong River last week. The stingray was tagged with a tracking device, then released back into the river. Now, locals nicknamed it Boramai, or full moon, because of its roundish shape and because the moon was on the horizon when it was freed. Took a lot of muscle to get that guy in, right? Goodness, yeah, big boy. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Calling all master Lego builders. Going to learn about a Lego camp going on in Joplin.
Just in time for summer, younger children are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
We're here. The Community Blood Center of the Ozarks is asking for donations during a critical time. Workers there say they have less than a 2-day supply available. Blood Center supplies blood, of course, platelets, and plasma to 44 area healthcare facilities. You can donate blood at the center's location on Rangeline Road in Joplin. 15 campers build Legos to their heart's content. This week-long camp lets children from ages 5 to 12 build themed projects, Lego games, competitions, making Lego snacks, and more. The purpose of the camp is to get kiddos interacting with other children and just have fun during this summer.
Nice break for the parents. It's 1 to 4, so they get some time, and it's also indoors with the heat right now. It's kind of tough to have kids outdoors, but this still gets them engaging and active.
This is over at the Joplin Museum. The cost of the camp includes snacks, prizes, and campers receive a new Lego set each day. Good deal. It was another violent weekend across the country with shootings breaking out in several cities, the kind of gun violence that Congress is determined to tackle. Talks in the Senate are at a delicate point, and this week could prove pivotal. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera joins us again and has more from D.C.
Chaos in Washington, D.C. Sunday night after a shooting left several people, including a police officer, hurt and a 15-year-old boy dead.
Yeah, he was screaming out for his mom, and it's hurtful to hear that, man, and nobody was able to help him.
In Harlem, at least one person has also died, and several others are injured after a mass shooting early Monday.
There were a total of 9 people shot, 2 females and 7 males. A 21-year-old male was transported to Lincoln Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased.
The shootings come as lawmakers in Capitol Hill try to hammer out a gun reform bill.
I'm confident that they've done that there's a serious negotiation that's very close to coming to fruition. It depends on whether or not a particular Republican has the courage.
Talks hit a snag last week over providing funding for states that don't have red flag laws and the so-called boyfriend loophole, which prevents people from buying a firearm if they are convicted of domestic violence while living, married, or have a child with their partner. Democrats want to expand that law for dating partners.
Frankly, it's common sense. Law-abiding folks shouldn't have any fears in terms of what's going on.
There's still some hope that the Senate can pass legislation before leaving for a 2-week July 4 recess, but others say they want more details before backing the bill.
Senator Cornyn and others have been sincere in reaching out to us and having conversations, but I still have yet to see bill text.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court is set to issue a ruling on a New York gun case that will likely expand gun rights, a decision that's expected to come down before the end of the month. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Well, a new study suggests an eye test can foresee heart attacks years before they occur. Researchers from a university in Scotland say a simple eye test can help predict heart attacks more than 5 years specifically before they happen. The analysts created a personalized forecast model from volunteers who had a heart attack. The test studies different abnormal patterns of blood vessels in the retina, which are a sign of coronary artery illness. That's according to the analysts, who say their tests can spot other life-threatening diseases like a stroke, also high blood pressure. Just in time for the summer travel season, kids as young as 6 months old now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Can you be a really brave big boy for me?
Health officials are hoping this becomes a familiar scene in the coming weeks.
Deep breath.
The first COVID shots for tots are now underway. The FDA and CDC made 18 million of the most vulnerable Americans eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine last week, signing off on child-sized doses of Moderna and Pfizer's shots for kids 6 months through 5 years old. We're expecting vaccinations in that age group to ramp up starting Tuesday, with the White House making about 10 million doses available, and they say that's just the beginning. Public health officials now making a big push to convince skeptical parents to vaccinate their young children, saying the shots are safe, effective, and significantly outweigh the risks of getting COVID.
During the Omicron wave, a lot of infants and toddlers were being hospitalized, and that was very, very difficult. We at that point, up until now, we didn't have a vaccine to protect these children.
The expanded access comes as the U.S. continues to see more than 100,000 new COVID infections every day, the highest number since February. And now hospitalizations are starting to tick up again. The CDC says that trend is expected to continue as the summer travel season heats up. Another reason to consider getting your kids vaccinated.
Vaccinating young children is a critical opportunity to protect them against hospitalization and death from COVID-19.
The White House says it expects the child-sized shots to ramp up slowly, with demand picking up in the coming weeks. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
A bit later, federal officials urging airlines to get it together, find a solution to an uptick in flight delays and cancellations.
Even though we kept things hot once again for today, it always helps to keep these kinds of things in perspective. So let's actually look back at the month of June so far, because believe it or not, I'm still trying to let this sink in. We're already 2/3 of the way through the month. If you remember, though, we were coming off a wet May and a cool, relatively speaking, start to the month of June, where we had a good string of 70s and 80s for highs. But on the 7th, we got close to 90. We went above 90 on the 11th, and we pretty much stayed above normal ever since then. So you could say that's about a 10-day stretch so far of temperatures running quite a bit above normal, or even 10 days straight of just this early summer heat. And I say early because Mother Nature, she does not follow the calendar. It feels like summer, but it officially starts tomorrow, if you can believe that already. 82 and dropping now, clear skies up top. Feels like 85 with those dew points near 70. It's the same story across the entire area. Upper 70s to lower 80s. But you factor in the dew points, it feels like the lower to middle 80s still as we continue to see the last of the setting sun from that western horizon. At least we're not dealing with anything threatening for tonight. Nothing in the immediate four-state region overall, except for maybe a couple of stray showers that have tried to establish themselves out in northwestern Kansas. But the better shot for storms tonight are staying up in the northern plains and upper Midwest. Ahead of our next cold front that's going to try to shake things up a little bit by the middle of this week. That's going to finally start edging closer to us as this upper level ridge breaks down and shifts around a little bit. Let's see how that could potentially play out with your future track forecast here. We're mostly clear. We got no weather worries for the rest of the night. I mean, we will get a bit of a break from the heat, but quite a mild start with lows back in the lower 70s tomorrow morning. I really think we stay dry during the day tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies. If this future track view verifies and we can get some scattered storms, it would be out to the west. I think we'll be dry for a good portion of the day. But ahead of that approaching cold front with that southwest wind, it's going to be another hot one, unfortunately. 72 in the morning, 90 by noon, highs near 95. Heat indices back above 100, maybe topping out at 103 at the most. But as that front edges closer, we'll watch for some isolated thunderstorm chances trying to skirt across our northern counties during the overnight into Wednesday morning. And that front close enough to the region drops highs back into the lower 90s. And gives us a chance for scattered storms throughout the day on Wednesday. The front will try to do it again on Thursday with that ridge far enough to the south. But this ridge temporarily lifts back on top of us, keeping us hot with upper 90s for Friday and Saturday. Then the big change in the overall pattern. The next stronger system coming in late Saturday night into Sunday morning. That is our next best shot for more widespread storms, if that can hold in the forecast. But look at what it does with the ridge. It really shunts it all the way back to the southwest going into early next week. What does that mean temperature-wise? Well, it's going to be hot. Very typical to start the summer season tomorrow with highs near 95. We're in the lower 90s Wednesday, Thursday, upper 90s Friday and Saturday. Then that pattern change, Jordan, wants to bring highs into the lower 80s next Sunday and Monday, and potentially lower 60s Monday morning.
Please.
I know, I'm keeping any fingers and toes, I'm keeping them crossed that we can hold on to that.
Nick Kelly, thank you so much. One man using his love of surfing Touched the hearts of thousands. This is the honors not just his fallen father, but others who loved to surf and those who dreamt of doing it. Never got the chance, though. Fox News correspondent Jackie Bonius has a look at the Dan Fisher project and the one last wave thing going on.
To many, the ocean is a remarkable place that holds a lifetime of memories as deep as its depths. It's a sentiment Dan Fisher of Rhode Island truly understands. Both he and his father shared a love of the sea and never shied away from an adventure. So when he tragically lost his father to cancer, Dan turned to the ocean and his passion for surfing to help him heal.
I decided to write his name on the board and really take him out there into the waves.
Dan later shared his tale of overcoming loss on social media while extending an offer to the internet to write the names of other people who passed away on his board as a way to honor those surfers on the waves they once called home. And so the One Last Wave project was born.
It's become something of great significance to me and to so many families around the world, just the opportunity, especially during this time of COVID, to be able to honor our loved ones when we weren't able to do so.
It's only existed for a few months, but Dan has already covered 3 surfboards and thousands of names from people around the globe. The project is now evolving to even include people who haven't physically been surfing.
We've had people who are in hospice care and had a dream that was always to go to the ocean, were unable to do so. Harrowing stories, very emotional.
And while surfing can be a somewhat solo experience, Dan says he never feels like he's out on the water alone. If you'd like to submit a loved one's name to Dan, visit OneLastWaveProject.com to learn how. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Apologize for that little technical mistake there. Coming up, that right there. One of a kind different look at a river that attracts thousands of people each and every year. Going swimming seems pretty good right now. Some four-staters beating the heat by going out and swimming in the river. Elk River, as many of us know, is a popular spot over in McDonald County for river lovers to go out, camp, kayak, go floating with a group of friends. KOAM photojournalist Ty Barks caught some different views of the area.
Well, you have these beautiful mountains in southwest Missouri. I mean, they are gorgeous mountains, and they have tons of these little streams.
We just enjoy it. It's nice. It's I don't want to say it's a peaceful float because there's always a lot of people, but the river's wide, it's beautiful, lots of nice gravel bars to stop on. A little more fun later in the year when it warms up a little, but it's still a beautiful day today. We like it because the water's clean, there's a lot of good swimming spots, it's still deep, but lots of good gravel bars to stop at, and there's always lots of excitement, there's always plenty of people. It's fun to people watch, that's for sure. It's more fun to float rivers where you can see what's going on in the river for me. I mean, I enjoy watching like the wildlife, the turtles, stuff like that. So you see a lot of wildlife on this river. You can see the fish swimming a lot of times. So for me, that's enjoyable. I mean, when I say clean, obviously there's beer cans floating around here and there, but overall the river I consider it to be a clean river. Oh, it's great. This is a good river to start on. You don't have a lot of real serious trouble spots, especially after the spring when the water goes down a little. There's not really too many places that you'll get into trouble on this river. So for a novice or a beginner, it's a good river to float. Pretty wide open, not any real tight spots that you have to panic over.
Okay, so if you don't have a kayak, canoe, or raft of your own, don't worry. You can also rent one from the several campgrounds in the area. Back with more news after this. Airlines are blaming bad weather and staff shortages for thousands of flight delays and cancellations. Federal officials are urging carriers to fix the issue as we head into the busy summer travel season. Fox's Annie Alapolo says more.
Hundreds of flights were once again canceled or delayed today. It's part of a wave of travel disruptions across the country. Over the weekend, thousands of flights were impacted. The most domestic delays were seen at 3 New York area airports, as well as at Boston's Logan Airport. With summer officially kicking off tomorrow, travelers say they're frustrated.
It impacts hotel, it kind of impacts your plans. It's very last second for me.
I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm not happy about it.
Some airlines have had to cut flights as they adapt to surging energy prices. Others are dealing with a shortage of pilots and flight attendants. Pilot unions say some airlines were not quick to replace employees who left during the pandemic.
There's not enough room in there to account for these delays and so forth.
The disruptions come as the country experiences its busiest travel days of the year. TSA says on Friday alone, agents screened 2.4 million passengers, the highest volume of travelers since November. Another 2 million passed through on Saturday. Federal officials are asking airlines to come to a solution or potentially face fines. Airline CEOs urge patience.
Over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll get back to a new normal. There is still a lot of pent-up demand that can't travel this summer because there is just not enough capacity in the system.
Air travel will likely spike again in 2 weeks as millions of Americans head out for the July 4th holiday. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Coming up, a look at the entertainment coming your way this week, right here on Fox 14. Big week for MasterChef Junior and a few other Fox competition series moving on to the next round. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with a preview of what's all coming up.
MasterChef Junior names a winner, So You Think You Can Dance duets return. Here's what's hot on Fox.
Which category are you going to go with?
First, it's $1 Million Music Monday with Don't Forget the Lyrics, hosted by Niecy Nash.
Let's go get this money. Take all my money.
The musical competitions continue with Jamie and Corinne Fox and new teams of 2 going for big money on Beat Shazam.
Shocker.
Tuesday is Encore Night with a replay of Crime Scene Kitchen and a replay of the MasterChef Junior semifinals.
You feeling lucky tonight?
Wednesday on MasterChef Back to Win, it's the first Mystery Box Challenge. Then the So You Think You Can Dance Top 12 return to the stage with pair performances in the style of the female partner. And the first studio elimination of the season.
I don't have an attitude. Yes, you do.
Thursday, it's a special MasterChef Junior, the road to the finale with highlights of season 8.
There is one more thing, in fact.
That's followed by the 2-hour MasterChef Junior season finale, with the final 2 competing, creating an entree and dessert in front of an audience of family and friends. The grand prize includes the winning title, $100 grand, new kitchen appliances, and a trip to Las Vegas to dine with Gordon Ramsay at his restaurant. Friday, get in the ring with WWE Friday Night SmackDown. And over the weekend, Sunday's animation domination includes Duncan getting a job on the season finale of Duncanville. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of hundreds of corgi dogs gathering at a California beach for a special celebration. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.